Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the BPM Change Management PRR Review Monthly Meeting. My name is Nicole Hines, representing the ISO Customer Readiness, and I will be facilitating today's web conference. Today's call is being recorded. These recordings are for informational and convenience purposes only, and any related transcript should not be reprinted without the ISO's permission. As a reminder, these monthly calls are structured to stimulate an honest dialogue and engage different perspectives. While we welcome comments and questions, please remember to keep comments professional and respectful. We will be taking verbal questions throughout the call today. If you are dialed in by the phone only and not on WebEx, you can enter the question queue at any time by pressing #2 on your telephone keypad. If you are connected audio through the WebEx platform, please use the raise hand feature located above the chat box in the lower right-hand side of your screen. Please introduce yourself before asking your questions. If you need technical assistance during the call today, please send a chat message to the event producer. The purpose of today's meeting is to discuss the proposed revision requests that are in the initial or recommendation stages. We will be discussing 13 PRRs today. 5 of them are in the initial stage and 8 are in the recommendation stage, and all PRRs were submitted by the ISO. The purpose of the BPMs are to set forth business practices that implement the ISO tariff. Every year, the ISO conducts a yearly policy initiative roadmap to consider and rank initiatives. Policy changes submitted through the PRR process will be referred to in the policy initiative roadmap, and each subject area in the BPM is based on enabling language in the ISO tariff. The PRR process cannot be used to introduce changes that are not supported by existing tariff authority. The first BPM we're going to be talking about today is the Scheduling Coordinator Certification and Termination BPM. PRR 1515 is in the initial stage for adding additional clarifying information for the 24/7 grid test. The reason for this revision is we added a new section 5.3.8.1 for common questions for the grid operations test and 24/7 real-time phone numbers. This is used in the current onboarding application process for scheduling coordinators, as well as any current scheduling coordinators that wish to change their 24/7 real-time desk to some helpful information. We did not receive any initial comments, and the initial comment period expired on July 19th. The next step is to post recommendation. Are there any questions about this PRR?
I do not see any questions in queue.
All right, thank you. The next BPM we'll be discussing is the metering BPM, PRR 1518 for meter data retention in the initial stage, and I will hand that over to Priyanka.
Hi, this is Priyanka Namburi from California ISO. We have submitted PRR number 1518 for the BPM of metering. This is a minor revision where our internal audit have recommended to make a change to the data revision. This is the data retention in the MRIS system, and with this, this has been the same business process we have implemented from the past several years. We are making this change to align it with the business process. We have not received any initial comments, and the initial comment period have expired on July 19th, 2023, and the next step is to post the recommendation.
Thanks, Priyanka. Are there any questions about this PRR?
There are currently no questions in queue.
All right, thank you. The next BPM is our Managing Full Network Model, PRR 1513 for Full Network Model Scope Change Management Process Update is in the recommendation stage. The reason for this revision is to include the following changes in section 5.1.3. We're updating the full network model scope to change management process for a request which was submitted after the request deadline. The effective date of this change will be on August 1st, 2023. We did not receive any recommendation comments. The comment period expired July 19th, and the next step is to post the final decision. That should say final. Are there any questions about this PRR? As a reminder, if you're on the phone only, you can hit #2, or if you're dialed in through the WebEx audio, you can use the raise hand feature in the lower right corner.
There are currently no questions in queue.
All right, thank you. The next PRR is Generator Management VPM, PRR 1512, which updates to battery energy storage system conversions, modifications, submissions, and phase generating facility clarification. It is in the recommendation stage, and I will hand this over to Jill.
Thanks, Nicole. The reason for this revision is just to align the language for battery storage conversions in the repowering section with the language in the modification section. We're also updating the requirements for modification submissions for technical changes and clarifying phase generating facility requirements. We also did some cleanup of section references and removed some additional references to the downsizing window language. There were no comments for the recommendation period, the recommendation comment period that ended July 19th, and our next step is to post the final decision. Are there any questions?
There are no questions in queue.
Thanks, Jill. The next BPM is our Outage Management BPM, PRR 1509 for use limit reached outage cards is in the recommendation stage, and I will hand this over to Abdul.
Thank you, Nicole. Good morning. This PRR is intended to clarify some of the use limited outage cards, specifically regarding the use by PDR and RDR resources. We have not received any comments in the recommendation period, and that comment period has expired on July 19th. The next step is to post recommendations. Do we have any questions about this PRR?
No questions in queue.
Thank you.
Thanks, Abdul. The next BPM we're talking about is reliability requirements, PRR 1508 for clarifications to new use import commitment submission and processing, and PRR 1514 for the 2024 availability assessment hours. Both are in the recommendation stage, and I will hand this over to Melanie.
First PRR is 1508, clarifications to new use import commitment submission and processing. The reason for this revision was to provide detailed instructions to LSCs to properly submit new use import commitment templates and explain how they're processed. There was no change to the existing procedure, but it just helped provide clarification for the process. And it was submitted as an emergency PRR because it was effective immediately, and the LSCs must submit the NUIC template starting the 17th, and this clarification helped explain what to submit and how it's processed. There were no comments, and the comment period expired on July 19th, 2023. Next steps post recommendations. Were there any questions for that PRR?
No questions in queue.
Thank you. Next PRR is 1514, which was 2024 availability assessment hours. The reason for this revision was just to add the availability assessment hours for 2024. There were no comments. The comment period expired July 19th, and the next step is to post recommendation. Are there any questions for this PRR?
There are no questions in queue.
Thanks, Melanie. As a reminder, throughout the call, if you have questions, please hit #2 if you're dialed in by the telephone only, or use the raise hand feature in WebEx. The next BPM we're talking about is market instruments, PRR 1511, which is clarifications regarding the use limit plan data template and opportunity costs for use limited resources, which is in the recommendation stage. PRR 1516 for bidding limitations and non-generating resources and default energy bid changes associated with energy storage enhancements track 1, as well as PRR 1517 for transition cost bid adjustments, reference level change request clarification, hydro default energy bid updates, as well as wholesale electricity price calculations update. Those two PRRs are in the initial stage. and I will hand it over to Michael.
Hello, this is Mike Rue, California ISO. PR 1511, clarifications regarding the use limit plan, data template, and opportunity costs for use limited resources. The reason for revision is current BPM language could be improved regarding ULPLT and opportunity costs regarding use limited resources. Currently no comments. That comment period expired July 19th. Next step is, I believe, post recommendation. All right, so for PR 1516, setting limitations for non-generating resources and default energy bid changes associated with energy storage enhancements, track 1. The reason for the revision is to accommodate changes associated with energy storage enhancements project. This is emergency PRR, which was effective July 1st. Initial comments from SRP, which we will be responding to shortly. That comment period expired July 19th. Next step is post recommendation. In PRR 1517, transition cost bid adjustments, reference level change request clarifications, hydro default energy bid update, and wholesale electricity price calculation update. The reason for this revision is we're to make clarifications on existing BPM guidance as well as make corrections to existing BPM guidance. These clarifications and corrections impact formulas and processes. They do not reflect any new policies and would not require changes to market participant systems. There are currently no comments. That comment period expired July 19th. And next step is post recommendation.
Are there any questions on these PRRs?
There are no questions in queue.
All right, the next BPM is for market operations. PRR 1510 for clarifications regarding use limited resources is in the recommendation stage. And Mike, I'll let you continue.
All righty, PR 1510, clarifications regarding use limited resources. The reason for revision is current BPM language requires clarification regarding use limited resources. There were no comments. That comment period expired July 19th, and next step is post recommendation.
Thanks, Mike. Are there any questions on PRR 1510? All right.
There are currently no questions in queue.
Thank you. The next BPM is the Energy and Balanced Market BPM. PRR 1498, assistance energy transfers in the recommendation stage, and PRR 1508, clarifications to new use import commitment submission and processing is in the initial stage. PRR 1498, we've discussed this over the last couple of months. The reason for this revision is to add a section introducing the assistance energy transfer concept as part of the resource efficiency evaluation enhancement phase 2 project. The assistance energy transfers allows WEIM entities to provide reliability benefits to balancing authority areas, deficit in capacity or flexibility. BAAs that have voluntarily opted into receiving assistance energy transfers will also be subject to an ex post surcharge. This is the EIM assistance energy transfer surcharge when they fail an RSE. Effective date updates as part of the RSE summer release of 7/1/2023. For this round of comments, we did not receive any, and the last comment period expired on July 19th. The next step is to post the final decision. PRR 1508, this provides detailed instructions to load serving entities to properly submit new use import commitment templates and explains how they are processed. There are no change to the existing procedure, but the revision helps provide clarification for the process. This is an emergency PRR because it is effective immediately on 5/17, and load serving entities must submit the template starting the 17th and before the end of the month. This clarification explains what to submit and how it is processed. We did not receive any initial comments, which expired on July 19th, and the next step is to post recommendations. Are there any questions on these two PRRs?
As a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to ask a question, clicking on the raise hand icon, which is located in the lower toolbar of your screen, will enter you into the queue. If you are on the phone audio line, pressing #2 will also enter you into the queue. All right. I don't see anyone in queue.
All right, thank you. For the presentation, there was some typos where the recommendations, they didn't get updated to the next step to post the final decision. I will update that on the presentation and repost that to the website. The next BPM meeting is on August 22nd, 2023 at 11 a.m. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you may email us at bpm_cm@kyso.com. Are there any final questions, concerns, or comments?
We do have a question in queue. Caller, your line is unmuted. You may go ahead.
It's Mike McGuffin from CES. I was looking at PR 1514 related to the updates for the 2024 assessment hours, and I don't see within the document that's posted the proposed changes. I may be missing it, but it doesn't look like there are any edits.
All right, here are 1514, I believe that's reliability. Melanie, do you have a response to that question?
I'll check. I believe, is it just, you're saying it's missing the red line for the new hours?
The latest it shows is the 2023 assessment hours, and then there's no addition for the 2024.
I'll check real quick. I have it up. So I have the red line attached to BPM change management. I do see the red line for 2024. I don't know if maybe markup might something, but I do see it there.
Okay, I'll go through it again. I'll send a follow-up if I can't find it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. And we can double check the attachment on the PRR to make sure that that is located there as well. But if you don't see it, please send me an email and we'll follow up. Are there any other questions?
There are no additional questions on the line.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. That concludes our call today, and I hope you have a great afternoon.
That concludes our conference. Thank you for using Event Services. You may now disconnect.